All right, welcome to the glass pen workshop, everything you need to know about glass pen. So hopefully it will be everything. I think between us we'll cover anything. So if you have any questions at any point, you're welcome to ask, or if you're nervous to ask or shy to ask, you can also just send it by chat on the thing, or you can WhatsApp me as well. I've got my phone here, so if you want to ask a question, you can always just send it to me by WhatsApp. And what I'm going to do is start with just introducing the hosts of this. So it's me, Robyn, who is Calligraphy Joburg. I'm a calligraphy teacher and lettering teacher. And then there's Monique, who is where you add, oh wait, pin.
I'm here.
Am I going to do, oh no, guys, I'm still trying to learn how to do this. If I pin you, then I erase Mike and me. So anyway,
no, it's okay.
Monique is there, and then Alison is, Mike and Alison are brother and sister. For any of you who thought they're husband and wife, they are brother and sister. And Mike is in the split screen with me, and he's doing a demo of the pens, making a pen. Alison is a pen addict like me and Monique. Monique and I teach, so we teach the modern calligraphy workshop together. Modern calligraphy is where you're working with a pen like this, which is a dipping pen. Glass pen is also a dipping pen, but it works differently. So that's what this workshop's about, is like pretty much, what is a glass pen? How does it work? How do you use it? How do you care for it? What inks do you use? What papers do you use? And all that kind of thing. So it's not a lesson as such, it's kind of like a discussion. So I'm going to just switch to Alison, and then she can tell you a little bit about the glass pens, how they're made. So I've got mine here, and she's, I'm sure, got loads there with her. And then we'll do a little bit of a demo, a writing demo just now. And then Ali, just whenever Mike's doing something exciting, you can just tell us, and I'll make that screen bigger. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Pin, that's going to remove. Oh my word, add spotlight. I'll just take myself off. Guys, I don't do Zoom for a living. So let me just, there we go. Okay, I've removed myself. I'm right. You can now take over.
Okay. So hi, everybody. I'm Ali. If you've had any chats with us on Facebook or on Insta, you're generally talking to me. Mike is the artist, and he likes staying on that side of things and doing the creative stuff.
That's why you're only seeing his hands, because he's yeah. At least the face of creation space.
Exactly. So I just want to quickly explain what Mike's doing, and then I'll go on to explain the pen. So some of you might have seen we have launched a new small mini pen like this. So he's busy making one of these. We call it the Little Sis pen. And what he does basically is he makes two blobs, and one of them becomes this part here, just the little marble, and the other blob becomes the handle. So he's busy heating up some glass now to do those two things. And he'll just let me know just now when he's going to do something really interesting, like shaping the glass to make the twirl or things like that. So yeah, right now it just is a bit of a process to get the glass hot enough so that it's in a more liquid state that he can move it around. Okay, so briefly just about us, we, as Robyn said, we're brother and sister. I've always been a penaholic, and Mike has been the creative. So when I first saw glass pens, I begged him to make me one. And at that stage, it was just for my own use. And the more we played with it, the more we realized there was nobody in South Africa actually doing this. So, you know, you can buy some glass pens, but you don't get that same homemade feel that we love so much. And I think as crafters in general, we enjoy seeing processes and interacting with the company on a personal level. So we like to bring that in. So glass pens have been around for hundreds of years. If I'm not mistaken, they were actually from Venice. I know a lot of glass work is done in Venice. So to just basically show you a couple of glass pens that we are busy working with, and the basic structure of a glass pen. So here I've got one that we did for Valentine's Day. So you can see it's got a little heart in here. So the parts of a glass pen, this part here is the nib. So this is where the ink gets held and where you write with, obviously it held like that. This part here is a finger grip, and then we always put a little marble in. Mike is a marble specialist, so in glass, that is what he used to do. He used to make marbles, and he is extremely talented at it. So we like to try and put a marble in, and he likes to go a bit creative with that part there. This part here is just the general pen handle and the tail. So, you know what, glass pens can be quite intimidating at first. People get quite nervous with holding glass. You know, is it going to break if I drop it? It's, you know, it's very different to, say, buying a brush pen or something where you know you can just shove it in your bag and go, and, you know, it's there, it's going to write, you know, so it is an art form. And it is a bit of a learning curve, but once you've mastered the art of writing with one of these, it is so rewarding. It really is. So yeah, we've got all sorts of different pens that we make. Obviously, Mike makes each one to order, which, you know, we like to chat to the person who's buying a pen, see what they like, see what they dislike, and make something really, really special. Just no more those. Okay, go get it. Sorry about that. Okay, so for example, this one here, you can see it's got a nice little translucent handle with the heart built in, and it's quite a long pen. The small ones that we've brought out now are much, much smaller. So they use about half the amount of glass. And that's why we're able to bring the price down quite a lot. It's still very comfortable to hold. It is more delicate, so the chances of this breaking if it's dropped from a bigger height are higher, but it's a nice beginner pen if you're not ready to spend the amount of money that one of these goes for. So just have a look here. Also, I wanted to just discuss the nibs with you. We do have a couple of, put it in here, my babes, this one. We do have a couple of different nibs. So throughout the last couple of months, you can ask Robyn and Monique as well. There's been backwards and forwards testing because we wanted to make sure that we had something that works well. I mean, we're not going to try and sell something that's not going to do the end result. So we've actually come up with quite a nice nib. I'll just explain to you here. So if you have a look, you can see that there's little grooves in this nib here. So what basically happens, let me show you here. I'm just using a Lamy Fountain Pen ink. When you dip the pen in the ink, it gets sucked up into these, I call them veins, and that is basically like your inkwell. So the ink sits over here, and while you're busy writing, that's where it comes out. So the nice thing with one of these pens is that it holds a lot of ink, so you can probably write about 2 sentences worth instead of having to dip once each word. So I'm just having a look if I've got another one here. You can see some of the nibs are a little bit twisted at the top. So the more twists that it has, the more ink that it holds, because it's got more space to fill up. But we found that sometimes when there's a lot of twists in it, although it holds a lot more ink, the ink does tend to flow out a lot slower. So sometimes you get, when you're writing, you get a little blind spot where the ink doesn't flow. So you have to write a lot slower when it's twisted a lot. So it depends on what your writing style is. If you prefer to have something that writes a lot smoother, but then you need to dip more often, these are all things that you can discuss with us when we're busy making your pen. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here that I can show you. Oh yes, okay, so if you have a look here, here is my personal pen. It was designed by my daughter and made by Mike. This was for a gift for me. So I love Nightmare Before Christmas. So he put a little face of Jack Skellington at the top there, and you can see it's got this beautiful black and white marble, and it's very, very long and very delicate. So there are lots of different styles and different options that we can always build into a pen. That once again is the really nice part of dealing with the artists themselves, is that you can get very custom work. So I think that's quite a nice long introduction. I'm sure that Robyn wants to take over and talk about the actual writing with one of these pens.
Okay, let me just work out how to make myself a spotlight. Add. Right. Okay. So I have quite a few of the pens here. So when Monique and I have done workshops, we are, we did dipping pen workshops with these pens, which I showed you earlier. And we always have the glass pens available with us. So I have lots of different ones here. All the pens that I have are different. So except for those little sis pens, the new small ones, they're all kind of the same. But these other ones, if you look here, just for instance, here's a really long one, a little bit heavier than this one. For instance, you can see the length difference. The nibs are different in terms of some are writing finer, some are writing quite a lot thicker. The green one and this purple one are quite long ones. So it really is a personal choice, like Ali said. And, people will message me and say, please tell me, I want to buy a glass pen. Please, can I buy a glass pen? Like, you kind of need to try it. So we always like people to actually try the pens at the workshops and see what works. Because when you put the pen in your hand, it comes down to the weight. So if you look at this one, sorry, I think it's a bit bright here behind me. If you look at this one, this green one, which writes beautifully, I mean, we've tried this one, written with it a few times. It's a lovely one, really, really long. It has a completely different feel to a shorter one. So if you look at this one, it's got a shorter tail. It's got, what did you call it? And this is the handle. Looks like a tail. And that one feels different. I've got quite small hands, but I still personally quite like a little bit of a weight, but I don't mind whether it's long or short. Some people get bothered by the length. It's a visual thing and they don't like the length of it. So you really do need to decide what you're looking for in a pen. And I personally quite like the very fine ones. So I'm going to show you with my one. These are the ones that we've got for sale here. I'm just going to put them out the way. So if you do want to try a pen, I normally will have them with me if I teach in Centurion or in Morningside. Otherwise, if you're not based in Joburg, a little bit tricky. You'd need to kind of be, a little bit more specific about what you're wanting when you order it. I just want to put these out the way quick. So with these pens, I'm going to just show you how the ink works and how you would dip your pen. Ali, you can also do a demo just now if you want. Great, thanks, Monique. So Monique and I both love these pens. I'm going to demo, because she doesn't have her pen with her. But Monique, if you want to chat, you're welcome to chat while I'm demoing. So guys, maybe I should move this. I'm sure you don't want to see my face while I'm demoing the pen. You might actually want to see the pen. So let me just move this around. So these pens, I'm working on bleed-proof paper, just because I quite like that paper. You're working with fountain pen ink mostly. So generally, if you don't have fountain pen ink, you can go to somewhere like a P&A and or Herbert Evans or any stationery shop. Just want to get my little holder. How cute are these little holders? So for these pens, if you look at the inks that I've got various different inks. I've got diamond ink. I've got, I don't have any Lamy ink here with me, but you can also use Quink, Parker, any of those fountain pen ink. So this is a diamond fountain pen ink. Fountain pen ink means you can put it into your fountain pen. So if you have a pen like a Lamy, for instance, let me just grab mine. So this is a fountain pen. So a fountain pen, this particular one has a cartridge that you pop in, but you can also get a converter, which is a thing that you use to actually suck the ink up out of the bottle. And for these pens, you're using fountain pen ink. So for the glass pens, if you happen to have fountain pen ink, you could use that as well. So any ink that looks like this, a bottle of liquid ink, and it'll say fountain pen ink, you can use that. So I'm going to just show you with this turquoise diamond ink how you would write with that. So you dip your pen into the ink, and then you start writing. And if you're me, you'll obviously get covered in ink, but it's not the pen's fault. It's because I can't write without getting covered in ink. There are people like Monique who are able to stay nice and neat and tidy. I'm not one of those people. And yeah, I know, you're pretty good. She'll arrive to teach a workshop with me wearing white, and I'm in head to toe black in case I get covered in ink. So just to show you here, there is the ink sitting in the grooves, and your fingers go over here. So don't dip too far in, because if you dip up to there, obviously you're going to have ink up to there, and then you're going to have it all over your fingers. So writing with one of these pens, you're pretty much writing normally, as in you hold the pen normally in your hand like this. You don't have to hold in a special way like you would with brush lettering. And you're just going to write, and look at me writing my word, hello. My word I always write. So you're pretty much just holding it as you would a normal pen. So just by comparison, here's my Lamy pen. And that's a normal fountain pen with a normal nib. It's not a calligraphy nib. And if I wrote here, this has got an extra fine nib, so it is quite fine. There's me writing. And you can see it's got a very similar look. Obviously, the glass pen has a slightly thicker nib. This is a very, very fine nib. It's actually an extra fine nib, so it is going to look a little bit more scratchy. You can write smaller. So writing with these glass pens, you can also go quite a bit smaller and write that sort of size. So there I'm writing very, very small. You may not even be able to see it with a camera. If I just go a little bit closer, you can actually see how nice and small you can go. And that's with a fine nib. So this one has quite a nice fine nib on it. I can write big, I can write small. I can also do fake lettering. So if I wanted to do a fake lettered look, you can just do that. And go through. So you can definitely do all sorts of things with it. You can do your like your fake lettering style. So I'm just going to add that second line in, dip a little bit more. Make sure you just wipe a little bit of the ink off. You don't want to have it blobbing too much. You know, if you have a lot of ink on the end, you might have a little bit of a blob. So you can do your fake lettering as well. Just go through. And it has a really nice feel. Ugh, I'm writing badly this morning, guys. All right. So there's an idea of different things you can do with it. This is fountain pen ink. If I switch to what's called Sumi ink, I'm just going to wash this off. When you rinse your pen, just be careful you don't sort of shove it into the water, because you can damage the nib. I'm just going to dab that. I'm going to use some Sumi ink, which is a Japanese drawing ink. So Sumi ink, so this is fountain pen ink. Sumi ink would look like, the bottles would look like this, where it is a very thickish ink. You need to add water to it. So when you do a dipping pen workshop with us, that's the ink that you would use. So it's quite a black ink. Sumi ink is actually known as the blackest of black inks. It is solid black. It's a waterproof ink, so you can draw with it and then paint straight over. So if you were doing watercolor painting, for instance, or any painting or drawing, you could use this ink. And Georgia's actually going to demo some drawing just now. Georgia is Ali's daughter, and she's going to do a little demo of some drawing for us. So I'm just going to show you. I'm not the artist in this lesson, so I'm just going to show you with this, just a basic little flower. If I had to draw a flower, for instance, here I am drawing with my glass pen. You don't even need to write. You can literally do drawings. And if this was on watercolor paper, once this black ink is dried, this Sumi ink, this one here, it is 100% waterproof. You literally cannot move it on this paper. It is going to be completely solid. You can paint over it, you can wet it. So using the glass pen, you can actually see how nice it is. This is about the extent of my my artwork. So Georgia, you can draw demo something nice just now. So if you just look there, how it's quite a nice consistent stroke. So I'm not feeling like I'm out of control, that I have to do anything. The pen is just working exactly like a fine liner, and it's got a really beautiful feel to it. You always feel more elegant writing with these pens. I don't know what it is, Ellie, maybe you can tell us why you feel more elegant, but you do. You actually, okay, I think part of it is the fear that you might drop it. It makes you kind of sit up straight and pay more attention. But in my case, I tend to always be surrounded by lots and lots of pens and lots of things. And my fear always is that it rolls off the table, hence the pen rest. So the pen rest, also made by Mike. The one I've got here is a double pen rest. I do also have single ones here, and they are divine. I mean, that pen is sitting on there, it's going nowhere. So that's a great way to just make sure that your pen is secure. Because if one of these rolls, pretty much like if this pen rolled, it's going to land on the floor and get damaged. If I damage this pen and damage the nib, I can replace the end of it. Same with these. If you damage the end of this nib and you break it, then there is a way that Mike can replace it. So Ali can explain that just now, but just so you know, there definitely are.
Robyn, I'm just going to jump in here quickly. Yes. Sorry, I just want to say, if you have a look at the demo now, Mike's busy doing the twist at the moment, which is part of the pen handle or the tail. So if people just want to have a look, he's shaped it, and now he's busy pulling the glass out to make that long handle, just while you're doing that. And let me just as you mentioned, pens do break. We do offer repairs on the pens. So either that Mike can replace the nib with a completely new nib. Sometimes they break. You know, these things do happen. Sometimes it just does not write like you want it to. So that is absolutely okay. We can replace those. Also, we've got a very specialized glass glue that can put two pieces back together with hardly any where you can barely see any kind of crack or anything like that. So I can actually show you, if you just put the camera on me here. I'll just
let me just find you. Hold on. Where are you? I'm scrolling
I'm
through people
the
here. Ah, there we are. Okay, all right. So spotlight. Okay, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So you can see this is actually the oblique pen that we're busy prototyping at the moment. We're hoping to launch it later on this month. But what I did is I used one of our old pens that did break as the handle, just so that we didn't have to make a new one. So if you have a look right here, you can see there's a tiny, tiny little crack. So this was basically glued back together with this very, very strong glass glue. It's actually a UV curing glue. So we put it on and then cure it under UV light, and it's really, really strong. So you can have your pen repaired if you need to. It's very strong glass. It's called, what's it? I've gone blank now, but it's Pyrex.
So borosilicate, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Stop showing off over there.
Trying. I've got all this information in my head. I need to get it out.
She's dying to tell us.
The amount of times per day that I actually write out or talk about borosilicate glass, you would think that it's in my head, but so yeah, it's a very strong glass. So if you imagine Pyrex dishes that you put in the oven, that you put in the dishwasher, it's made out of the same glass. It is medical grade, so it's very strong, and obviously it's put together very well because I'm Mike's biggest fan. And I just want to sorry, Robyn, I took away from you.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Made me think of something here. So when we started manufacturing the pens, we obviously bought all of the pens that are on the market so that we can try them and see what works and what doesn't work. So here is a pen. I'm sure some of you might have seen it on Take A Lot. It is very, very fine if you look at it compared to one of ours. So it's very thin. I did enjoy writing with it. It had a very nice nib, so we're trying to do something similar to that. But the problem that we had with this pen was that it wasn't made out of the same quality of glass. So there's different types of glass. There's the main two that the glass workers work with is something called soft glass and then the borosilicate. So this one seems to be soft glass. We cut it open just so that we could have a look inside. but it doesn't have the same properties as the Pyrex does. So Mike enjoys working with the borosilicates. I am starting with soft glass, so we'll see if I land up making any pens out of it. But the one that we use is the much tougher one. So you know what, if it drops from a short distance, I don't think the chances of it breaking are too high. I haven't actually dropped any, and I think I must. I've got an old one here, so I'm going to give it a drop test just now for you. We do test it, every single one of them that comes out of the kiln. We do take through quite a vigorous quality control. Where the pens are prone to breaking is on the joints. So where the two different colors meet, that's where they would sometimes break. So we do test them, stress test them, make sure that they are okay before we send out. But you know what, we are dealing with glass and accidents do happen. Sometimes they do get broken. We've had a couple of issues with the couriers. We're busy trying to work on different packaging at the moment. We're trying to decide what looks good, what protects the pen. So hopefully we can fine tune that and find a product that's going to be a nice permanent way for you to keep your pen, as well as keeping it as safe as possible. So yes, you can have it repaired.
Ali,
long story short.
There's a question. Yeah, we get asked that a lot, and probably the number one barrier for people to in terms of should I buy it, shouldn't I buy it, is what if I break it? I'm quite clumsy, and I am one of those. I don't want to say clumsy, like I don't walk, okay, I do walk through the dining room table instead of around it, but I'm one of those people that I often will knock something off the table, like my pens will roll off, and that was always a concern for me. So the fact that you can replace the nib is quite a big deal. And I know you've actually done it on my pen, this one. You've actually, you put a finer nib on. So if you look at this pen, you can't tell that it's been taken off and a new one put on. Do you actually saw it off? Because people ask, how do you get this off? Is it a little saw that you literally saw it off, or do you sort of melt it?
Sorry,
off?
Robyn, I can't actually see your screen. Let me.
Oh, sorry, man.
No problem.
Wait. Let me add spotlight. Okay, so here's my one, the one that you guys added you took off the thicker nib.
Yes.
And you put on a fine nib. So that's my normal one, and then this is the one that you changed. So what I'm saying is you can't actually see, oops, there we go. Anyone looking at this would not be able to tell that this had a different nib on originally and that you took off that part. But what I'm asking is, how do you get that off, and how do you replace the new nib? Do you saw it off?
Okay.
Do you melt it off, crack it off?
Okay, so I'm going to take this pen to Mike, and I'm going to ask him to just show you how he removes the nib. And shame, sorry, he's busy with.
Oh, no, that's fine. You can always just do it just now as well.
So we've got, I think I've actually got one somewhere here. I'm sure if some of you have done mosaic before, you've seen the tile cutters.
Oh,
with
those
the
nippers
on them.
Yeah.
Yes. So we basically use that over here to break the glass off, and then Mike will remelt this little area here. He will then make sure that all of the old nib is off, and that he can put the new one on. Oh, he's got a nib ready to go.
Okay.
Please can you do me a favor and take this to Mike? Thank you. Okay, so he can show you right, he's got a nib.
I'm going to make him the main screen. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
Okay. So the glass has to be hot on both pieces before it'll actually join. So he'll have to, there's the little nipper, so he'll take that old nip off there. There it goes. And then he'll heat up this piece. He starts quite far back in the flame because you can't put the glass straight in, because it can crack, it can explode because of the huge temperature of that torch. So we're working with about 1700 degrees Celsius. Glass, it needs to be really hot, and then it needs to cool down very slowly to make sure that it doesn't crack. So he starts far back in the flame and moves it forward until it goes red hot before he'll attach the other piece on. If both pieces are not hot, they won't attach, and there's a huge chance that they're going to explode. So it's lots of fun working here. We always sit here listening for if things crack in the kiln, or it's always exciting. So you can see there he's attached the nib to the pen, and he's heating it up, and then he's going to pull it out and do a small twist on it like we like to do. So as you can see, every part of this is such a scientific process almost. The properties of glass is actually incredible. Mike's explained to me before that glass is actually a liquid, and that at a higher temperature, obviously it goes molten, but even in its solid form, it's actually a very slow moving liquid. So I found that quite interesting.
Yeah, you know what, Ali, what's quite interesting, I remember seeing this program years ago about stained glass windows, you know, in the cathedrals, but the cathedrals in Europe that are hundreds of years old, if you look at those stained glass windows from the side, they've actually gone very thin at the top and they've gone thick at the bottom. So over hundreds of years, the glass has literally moved, it's flowed down, it's taken hundreds of years, but it's so interesting that that can happen on a stained glass window.
It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you just making every nib by hand, or do you use a mold? Because I remember you mentioning something about a mold.
Yes, okay, so there is a mold that we use. Let me just go and grab it, and then I can... Oh, okay, can you just show it in front of the camera there for me? Thanks. So, oh, okay, no, it's still a little bit hot, so we're not going to pick it up. Okay, he'll point it to us in a sec, because it's still a little hot. So we've got this mold that we actually imported that we push the molten glass blob into. There you can see he's pulled a string and he's just cutting it off with the flame. So you can see it's a very, very long nib at the moment. It's very fine, very long. And then I'll cut that off after the kiln and when I do the testing. So yeah, so we got, there's the mold that we push it into. So we melt the glass into a ball and then we push it into one of those shapes, the top one or the bottom one. It depends how many of those grooves we want on the nib. And that basically makes that shape. So if you imagine playing with Play-Doh, how we used to push it into those molds and then it has that shape, or sand castles, it's much like that. So it is still made by hand. Every nib thereafter is pulled out, stretched, but it just helps us to get the grooves in the pen nice and even, so it looks better, and they're nice and deep as well, so that it holds quite a lot of ink. So there you go. He's just going to trim it down a little bit, and then it's all re-nibbed and ready. So that's basically how easy it is. Sure. We do offer basic repairs. One repair per pen is absolutely free. So if you bring it to our studio, or we can organize with couriers and things like that, we will do a repair for you, either re-nib, or if it's cracked, we can glue it together. But we do understand that glass is, it is fragile, and we like to be able to have that follow-up service. You know what, we like to have relationships with our clients as well. And we like to know that, you know, you can come to us, you can say, okay, it's doing this, is it meant to, you know, we always open to chatting about everything. So we hear, oh, there, he's going to show you just now how he uses that. We call it an optic mold to shape that nib. Yeah, very clear shot. So he heats up the glass. We have been using clear glass for the nibs because it's a bit easier to see the ink that you put on. But we've done some with glitter inside. We've done some other colors as well. So the nib doesn't have to be a clear nib either. So if you do prefer something else, you're welcome to just let us know. Okay, there you go. He's going to push it in.
I'm waiting for Robyn to import some UV ink.
Oh, did you hear that, Robyn?
I have to find some.
Yeah.
Glow in the dark ink.
We do
Don't,
have
I'm on it.
we do have glow in the dark. Oh, thank you, baby.
These are my ones.
We do have glow in the dark that we add to the glass, so that's quite a cute one as well. There you can see the pen's out of the mold, and it's got those basic grooves in it. And now he's going to just add it to the pen he just made, and that's basically the process.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nothing quick about it.
Yeah, there's nothing quick about it, as Mike says. The difference between the bigger pens and the little pens in terms of time, it takes the same amount of time. The only difference is that it uses less glass. Thank
It's
you.
about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it takes about an hour and 20 minutes.
So Ali, another question I get asked a lot is by people who've bought glass pens either overseas or on Take-A-Lot or wherever, and they're not all cheapy pens. So you get those Jehoban pens, the more expensive ones, and they've broken their nibs. And they've asked me, and I keep meaning to actually ask you, can you repair a pen that isn't yours if you don't know what glass, or can you look at it and say, oh, okay, that's X glass, and yes, I can repair it? Or is it a no-no on other, I mean, they're prepared to pay for it, they have no problem with that. I just want to know if it's actually possible.
Okay, so
Repair any glass.
he says he can repair any glass.
Okay, even a cheapy Take-A-Lot one.
You know what? We actually do all sorts of glass repairs, including just like drinking glasses and things like that.
Wow.
He is a glass fanatic. Let me just say.
So the question would be then, if it's a glass glasses, people think glass is glass, but you were just saying you're using a very particular glass. If someone brings a sort of a cheapy glass, can you join your nice glass onto, like if they particularly like the handle, but they want a different nib? So
yes,
okay,
so
great.
the different glass types are incompatible with each other. But we do have soft glass here that he works with sometimes. So if the pen happens to be soft glass, he can repair it with soft glass.
Perfect.
So he does all types of repairs. I just want to show you here. George has brought me one of Mike's marbles. So if
I'm
you
just
can just
going to spotlight you.
Yeah, these are her particular marbles. So she drew pictures for Mike, and he turned them into marbles for her. So at the back here, you can see little smiley faces. There's a real opal inside there, but this is the most amazing part. Look at this, the flower inside.
That's beautiful. So George, is that from your drawing? That's amazing.
Yes,
So cool.
One as well.
Oh, that's so cute.
And gifted them to me.
Oh, wow.
So his marble work is incredible.
Yeah. And I saw the lens ball that you have, that you were doing photos with. That's amazing.
I'm having so much fun with that.
Yeah. Sure. And then, Georgia, are you going to do a drawing for us? Are you going to demo? Are you ready, or do you want to do it just now?
Some things. Yeah. Okay, so bring them here and I'll show them. Also, because a glass pen doesn't have an ink canister or something like that. Okay, thanks. Perfect. I'll show them now. I've been experimenting with lots of different materials. So if you imagine your glass pen as actually being a tool that can have many uses. So what I've been doing on my Instagram, I've actually used it as a foiling quill. So because glass takes a very high temperature, what I was doing is just putting it in a candle to heat this up, and obviously don't touch it because it gets really hot, and then using it to use on heat transfer foil. So that's one thing we've been doing. Another thing that I've been experimenting with, and I haven't taken any videos or anything yet, is actually using this in baking. So by dipping it in melted chocolate, you can write with it. So writing on a plate, like happy anniversary or something like that, you can use melted chocolate. Royal icing, so you know those beautifully decorated cookies. So I love baking, and so I've been playing around with this. I find it very, very difficult to do any kind of lettering when I'm decorating cakes, things like that, because you're holding your piping bag like this, but we all learn to write like this. So something like this, you can actually write on your baked goods. I'm also experimenting at the moment with burnt wood. So you get special wood burning tools, which are like a soldering iron. But once again, because this takes heat, I've been experimenting with putting this in the flame and then actually almost doing little designs on the wood, so it burns into the wood. You can use it with watercolors. You can use it with all different types of inks. You can use it with acrylics. So as long as you look after it and wash the material off afterwards, there's so many things that you can actually use it for. So if you have any ideas, feel free to send them my way. I love experimenting and trying new things. And I'll keep putting all of my experiments on my Instagram so that you can follow along and see what we'll end up doing with these pens.
So Ali, I'm volunteering Monique and me as we are going to be guinea pigs for the icing one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we have to test it to make sure that, you know, the pen's working properly. So just send all your baked stuff our way.
We'll be pen and taste testers.
Oh no, definitely. Is Georgie drawing? Georgia, are you drawing live? Okay, I'm going to spotlight her. Okay, let me add her in there. So Georgia's actually drawing with the glass pen, if you guys want to watch there. So
there we go.
Okay, she's busy drawing a new marble design for Mike. But as you can see, the pens are easy to use. She's 11. She's a very artistic girl, but she does enjoy using these pens. One of her friends actually had her a coming of age party recently, a Jewish bat mitzvah, and we gifted her a glass pen, and it was received so well. This girl was so excited to use it. You know what? It's such a beautiful personal gift as well. As Robyn mentioned earlier, it feels very elegant writing with it, and I think it's got a touch of that sort of old time feeling. I think like writing with a quill, and that's what's so it's so beautiful. The whole process of writing with it is, it's elegant. You're dipping, you're really concentrating on your writing. You know, you're not just like quickly scribbling something with these pens. It forces you to really watch yourself and enjoy yourself. So you can see here, Georgie's been doing some lettering. She says, "Be the person you dream to be." She has some lovely quotes that she makes up. So this one here is double-sided. She drew a mandala. And what's this, a puppy? And on this side here, she's done some more lettering. "Be the person that I see you, beautiful, brave, and the best." So she enjoys this as well.
That's so cool, because if you're using that black, did I give you the Sumi ink? That black Sumi ink, this, the one I was showing you earlier, she can actually paint and draw and color straight over that. So if you're wanting a waterproof ink, you need that. If you're using fountain pen ink, it's not waterproof, so it's not going to, it's not suitable for painting. So just to show you another, I'm just going to spotlight me here quick. What I was doing now as well, I was writing with white ink. So I've got white ink. It's bleed proof white. It's in this little jar because the mouth is nice and wide. So bleed proof white, it's Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. So we use that a lot for lettering. And when you're working with a dipping pen with a nib like this, I mean, this ink is amazing to work with, but you can also write with a glass pen with this ink. So if you water it down enough, because it is quite thick, if you water it down enough, you can actually write on black. Just want to show you guys, because it's just another use. And I know a lot of people have bought the white from me. And then here's another use for it. I'm keeping the toothpick in because this ink, you need to stir it a bit while you're using it. But if you work with the white and you write, I'll just do that same word that I was doing earlier. You may need to go over it slightly if it's a little bit thin in places, but you definitely can write with the white with these pens.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so just to go thicker, I think I need to stir it a bit. Oh gosh, just because I'm demoing it, you know. I was using it just now and it was perfect. So on my page with the squiggles, here's the squiggles that I was doing earlier. It was working so nicely. And now because I want to show you, it's not flowing as well. So
the pens do work the best with runnier ink.
yeah, they do. Yeah.
So yeah, if you do find that your ink is a little bit thick, you can just water it down. If it's water-based ink, you can just put a couple of drops of water in, and
if it's fountain pen ink, you don't need to do that. If it's generally because it's ready to go, but like here on this white ink, I think it's actually the paper, the side, because I was using this side, this one, and it was better. So I'm just going to use my other one here. So this white ink, this jar also probably needs to be refilled a bit. So now that's my ink. I need to add some more water. But anyway, it does work really well with the white. This I did here, these squiggles I did with the pen just now. So it's the same as working with these. You just don't get your thick strokes. So if you're wanting to do drawings and you're wanting to do mandalas, that kind of thing, white on black, it works really well. Except when I try and demo it. So I promise you it works. And the white ink is quite thick. You can ask Monique as well. Oh gosh, you have to, it's actually really good value for money because you add water and add water and add water. Every time you use it, you have to add water. And it works beautifully. It is a thicker ink and it's got the powder in it. So if you had to let this stand, the water would actually separate out and the powder would sit at the bottom. Stir it up. So those pigments do kind of make it a bit thicker. So I probably need to add a bit more water to this one. And I'll actually do some demo ones and put them on Instagram as well. And you'll see how nicely it works. But I agree with Ali. I find that the fountain pen inks or a very watered down version of this would work better. I think it's because it's the ink is flowing down the groove. So it needs to actually have needs to be quite watery so that it flows nicely.
I think just quickly while we are on the topic of inks, that if you are using something like an acrylic ink, I know we do warn about it in our pointed pen workshops, but if you are using an acrylic ink, just to make sure that you wash your nib off as soon as you're done, because if you leave that ink in that nib, you are going to be hard pressed to try and get it out of there. So if you want to just improve the longevity of your pen, I mean, with fountain pen ink, it's water based, so you can just like wash off in some water, but the same thing with acrylic ink as well. If you are going to be using a thicker ink, just wash it off as soon as possible.
Yes, no, I agree.
And you're just washing with water, as far as I know, right, Ali? There's not some special nib cleaner. Just underwater.
Mike, just let me know now that if you're using a glass pen and there's something stuck in the nib, you can hold it over a flame to burn it off. So
that's interesting. Okay,
does that work with ink? Like if you've got acrylic ink, for instance, stuck on your pen. Okay, that's interesting and good to know.
Cool. Very nice. So I've actually got my little washing thing here. Let me just swap my camera so you can have a look. Just while we're here, I can show you quickly. Okay, so what I use to wash the pens when I'm done, we've got a little paintbrush. You can see my water here is quite dirty. I've got a paintbrush in some sunlight liquid, and that's all I use is I just sort of wash inside there, or you can use an old toothbrush. Also, you can just put it in the dishwasher, put your entire pen in the dishwasher or in the sink and soak it because it is that Pyrex glass. But yeah, these work pretty well. You can see you can just scrub and get inside all of the grooves. Because sometimes we end up leaving ink on there, or as you say, if there's acrylic ink or something like that. You can see my nice little blotting paper. Very colorful. But yes, they're very easy to clean. But I do agree with Monique that if you can clean it as soon as you're done with whichever material you're using, then it's much, much better.
Okay, I've got the white ink to flow. I'm just going to put this camera back. So here is where I wrote with the white ink. So this is my Dr. Martens white ink, Bleedproof White on black. I haven't done anything extra to it. I haven't added a second line or done fake calligraphy. It's literally just the white, just like a normal cursive, and it looks amazing. So it was me. I had to add water to the ink, so it definitely does work, but you need it quite watery. Oh, that the Lamy Ink. So the Lamy Ink works really well. That's a bottle of Lamy Ink. It's the same as if any of you that do have a Lamy pen, like the one I showed you earlier, that's the same ink. It's just in a bottle instead of in a cartridge. And that ink is perfect to write. You don't ever need to add water to it. It's already the right consistency.
Yeah, this is my favorite ink to use so far, the Lamy
It's
ink.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
And you do get it in
Flows
different colors. The diamond ink is also nice. The diamond is it's the one I showed you earlier. Let me just spotlight myself again. So they're different sizes. You get little bottles like this, these are actually quite nice because they're already set up for dipping your pen in. Where they're not great is when you're using a pen like this, and now you can't get that in because it's too narrow, so you have to decant. So fountain pen inks, the bottles are often quite narrow, and this one is a chunky one, but it's got a narrow neck. And that's perfect for these pens. You don't need to do anything. You don't have to decant. You can just dip your pen straight in. The ones I've got here are diamond, but like I said earlier, any of the fountain pen inks are suitable. They're ready to write for these pens. So you don't need to spend a huge amount of money on inks. Not that these are expensive, but you know, they're a lot cheaper than buying the like the fancier inks we use with the dipping pen workshop. So if you have fountain pen ink lying around, I've got ink, Schaefer ink that's over 20 years old, and it still writes absolutely fine. If I open the lid, I dip the pen in, it's ready to go. So if you have old ink and you're not sure what to do with it, there's a nice use for it. You can use your glass pens with it.
So I'm just going to do one dip and do a couple of swirls just to show how much ink the pen holds. So just while you're talking, Robyn, I'm just going to do a couple of swirls here with one dip.
Okay, now I run out of stuff to say. Yes, I was finished talking. Damn. Me ran out of things to say. Yeah, it's amazing how much ink it actually will hold. And just to put it in perspective, if you buy a bottle of ink, the average little bottle of fountain pen ink would be about 30 mils. So, you know, if you're like me, you'd look at that and think, oh, I have no idea what that means. So if you look at a pen, let me just show you here. So my this is my Lamy Fountain Pen. If I open this up and you look at the cartridge, so most people would kind of understand that, even if you haven't seen the Lamy one, Schaefer's and Parker's, all of these pens have a cartridge. That's a cartridge. We kind of know how long you would write with that. That is less than 1 mil of ink. So if you look at a fountain pen, a bottle of fountain pen ink, that little bottle is 30 mils. This big bottle is 80 mils. This is less than 1 mil. So you can start to understand why fountain pen ink will give you good value for money. Because if you think of how little you actually use with your glass pen, then I can write quite a lot with this pen and this cartridge. And I mean, people say, well, how long will it last? Like, I don't know, it depends how long you write with it. But fountain pen ink, like I said earlier, I've got bottles that are over 20 years old. And in fact, I've got bottles older than my youngest son, who's 23 this year. So, and it still works perfectly. And it's not fancy, expensive ink. It is just Schaefer ink that I bought from a stationery shop years ago. I forgot about it, put it in the cupboard. So that's how versatile these glass pens are. You literally can write with anything. Oh, wow. Was that all with one?
That was one dip, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
And
So
that is
the white ink, for
little
instance,
dip.
yeah, the white ink you would need to dip more because it's thicker, but that fountain pen ink, that Lamy ink, that's amazing. Wow. Sure, that's quite incredible.
Yeah. I wanted to know if anybody has any questions. I can see it's nearly 12 o'clock. If anyone wants
this
to
is
know
a Robyn
anything,
workshop. It'll go over. So I'm recording. If anybody needs to go after exactly an hour, please don't worry. Just see yourselves out and I will send you the recording. Don't stress. But if you have questions, we're happy to chat. So, I mean, we're not going to go on forever. It's just if you run a couple minutes over, it's fine. So, okay. Anybody with questions on anything? No. Monique, can you think of anything to add there?
Oh, there, I see there's a question.
Oh, where was
Okay, the average
perfect.
price.
Mm.
Okay, so you know what? There's a whole lot of different pens. We've brought these ones out specifically to be a more budget pen. These small ones. These are $3.25. Obviously, this one here has got a little bit of gold and silver fumed on it, so it will probably be a bit more expensive. But the standard little sis pen, I'm just pulling one
You
out
got
here.
one there. Otherwise,
Yes, I
I've
do.
got her. Okay, yeah.
So
And those are
this
great to
pen
write
here-
with, eh? Monique has one and they're really nice.
Yeah.
It's not that, they're small, so they won't write as nicely. I mean, you love that little one that you took.
Oh,
Yeah.
they write
Yeah.
like butter.
Yeah.
The ink just flows off of there. It is, it's gorgeous. I love it.
So for these ones, we don't do too much customization because we're trying to keep the price down. But what we will do is customize the marble here and this little tail piece. So we can put a specific color here, or sometimes Mike does a swirl in it or uses a special type of glass there. Let me just show you this one here. I'll put it there.
A whole stack here as well. So just for colors. What have you
this one
got there?
here,
Okay.
I've got, we call
These
it
are in
fade
boxes.
black.
But if you look here, I don't know if you can, oh, they're in their boxes. But
The whole thing. What?
is that also a little sis one?
It is, yes.
Very nice. So I've got the ones here, the clear ones with just the color marble. So there's a green, that's a green marble, green tip, white one, pink one. There's also the swirly one. They're in their boxes. So guys, I have these with me. So if you're coming to a workshop, or I'm coming to Centurion and you're in Centurion, I'll bring these with, and you guys can have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, the more expensive pens are the longer ones like this. They generally between 400 and 600 rand. And then I've got one somewhere here. Yes, okay, so then there's a different style called Laticino. If you have a look here, I don't know if the camera's picking it up nicely, but we've got like a glittery glass in here.
Is it inside? Is the glass inside, the glitter inside the handle?
Yes, it is.
Oof, you had to show us that too.
Damn. But the problem is that this pen takes probably about 2 hours for Mike to heat up this glass and make it. It's a beautiful process, and I'm going to do a video on it soon. A really stunning pen, but this is usually about 700 rand. We do have some. Okay, Mike says, please just have a look on his camera. He's going to show you some. Okay, so that's called dichroic glass, and that's what we actually use to get the glitter inside these pens. You can see it's got beautiful like different colors and shimmers and things like that. And I'm also going to ask him to just move the camera that he's got there to show you the different colors in glass that he's got, to do the handles, to do the marbles. You can just see what our studio looks like here with the huge amount of glass that we've got. He says, excuse the mess.
It wouldn't be a proper studio if it was neat and tidy.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You wouldn't be doing any work.
No, we expect it to be a mess.
Yeah, he says those are his inks.
Oh wow, beautiful.
That's so cool.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Annie, I see here that Miranda's asking, so she says here, wow, that is gorgeous. Where can I purchase a pen?
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Miranda. We've got them on our website, so you can go to creationspace.co.za. You can speak to Robyn, purchase through her, purchase
So,
through
Miranda, if you're in Joburg or Pretoria, I have a lot of the pens with me, so because I'm teaching workshops, so you can always just message me and or just find me on Calligraphy Joburg. I'm not sure if you have my cell number, but you can just message me. If you're not in Joburg or Pretoria, in Gauteng, then yeah, then you got to buy online. But if you want to try them, you're welcome to just contact me, and you can come and try all of them. Ali, I don't know how many pens you have, but I think I've got quite a bit of your stock with me. So
I'm also going to just give you my cell number. You're welcome to message me on that, especially if you want a custom pen made or want to choose colors. something that we don't actually have in stock, you're welcome to message me anytime. We are also going to be offering a special 20% discount to anybody who has been at this workshop, or watched this workshop, I think for the rest of this month. So you are, that's a nice idea, yeah. But you are welcome to just mention that you were at the workshop, and we'll make sure to pass on the discount to you.
Awesome.
Great.
I am planning on doing a lucky draw on our Instagram. We are nearly at 700 followers. So I think at 700 followers, we're going to be doing a giveaway of a pen. So make sure that you followed us, and you could be the lucky winner.
Great. Okay, what is Mike making now? Looks interesting.
He's making a slime pen, so it's like the green pen that.
Slime. Is it called that because of the color, the slime color?
The actual glass is actually called slime, the one that's on his left. Yeah. So it makes that beautiful, beautiful green slime color.
Wow.
Oh, cool. It's actually so awesome to see a little behind the scenes of how these things are made. You realize how much skill is involved in making this. It's not just you have a mold and you put some glass in it. Like, there's a lot of technical work that needs to go into it, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. You know what, every single part of the process, from the design to the end result, every single part has been a 2-year journey of us busy trying to perfect our pens. So yeah, but you know what, I love sitting here in the studio, watching him, helping him. It's a lot of fun. It only gets really, really hot. That's my problem. For example, you know those thermometers that people are using now to check the forehead thermometers, where you don't actually have to touch anything. So we measure his hand and his shirt. You can see that it's really close to the flame. His shirt goes up to about 70 or 80 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And his hand, the other day when we were making the lens ball, obviously that needed a huge flame. I think it was about 100 degrees on his hand. So you can imagine what my brother's hands look like. They are full of cuts and burns and everything all day. But
medium rare.
Yeah. He absolutely loves everything to do with glass.
The sign of an artist.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's so wonderful to actually have someone like you, Ali and Mike, who make these pens in South Africa, because I cannot tell you how long and for how many years I've searched for something decent to buy that was made locally. There is none. I mean, that's why you guys are here. You are the locals that make these things, because I mean, if you have to import them from overseas, you run the risk of them getting lost, never mind being broken. I mean, you probably won't even get it. But it's so wonderful to have a local company where you can actually make custom pens. It's not just your standard everyday, here we have 300 of the same pen, where each of your pens are different, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You know what, for example, the pen that I bought on Take a Lot, very nice cardboard box that it came in, but straight away, you know, the writing on it, there's a lot of Chinese writing. It says handmade glass pen, and it doesn't feel very personal to me. And I like to have a product that has a story, that has people behind it, not a factory behind it. Mike and I have always been very adamant that what we want to do is to not be a factory. We like to reuse products. We like to have eco-friendly packaging. One of the pens that we've actually got in our mind is to make completely out of recycled glass. So it's quite a process of, we've got an entire trailer outside filled with glass bottles. And it's a process where we have to melt down the glass in the kiln probably over a good 24 hours and then pull it into the strings that Mike uses. But we want to be able to create out of nothing, out of throwaways. This I find it very, this oblique flange out of was a tin of pineapples. I cut the tin open to make this flange. So my idea is to one day have an entire recycled pen from start to finish out of recycled materials. For example, let's say somebody gets married and keeps the bottle of champagne from their wedding, sends that to us, and we can create something beautiful out of that. We can create the pen for you to write your thank you notes on, things like that. Because you're dealing with the artist himself and a personal company, all of these things are possible.
Sure, that's amazing.
That's so cool. And I won't lie, but I'm quite excited to get my hands on that little oblique pen situation you've got going on there.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Piqued my interest. Glass pens and nibs, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what oh yes, and Mike is very multi-talented. He does silver and goldsmithing as well. So he's busy working on making this oblique part here out of pure silver, sterling silver, where I'm happy to just use a pineapple can. He says, no, it has to be done properly. So I'll take some more videos of him doing this part. I'm busy trying to learn how to write with this thing. I've bought a course from Robyn and I'm busy working my way through it, but it has its challenges, I won't lie. I'm holding it and I'm not sure which way to hold it.
Hold it normally. Hold it like a normal pen.
I think I'm going to have a one-on-one with Robyn soon.
Definitely. Don't look at the end. Okay, when you look at the end, it just throws you. So just
Well, I keep thinking, if I were left-handed, what angle would this pen?
No,
be
if you were
at?
left-handed, you use it as a straight holder.
Exactly.
If you left, so you don't have the weird angle thing. If you're left-handed.
Yeah, but we're busy trying to develop all sorts of new products that people don't get here. We are so excited by what we do. So if you have any ideas ever for something that you think would be beautiful in glass, or is it possible in glass, you know what, Mike makes it possible. So he made me what are they called, a wax seal out of glass with my initials on it. He does the most incredible stuff, and I'm very lucky that I get to live here and play with all of the toys that he makes.
That's so cool. I think Creation Space is going to have to take all my money because I'm going to need a wax seal.
Yeah, no, me
just
too.
because,
Me
just
too.
to have.
I'm going to stop this video now before you come up with any more ideas of things we need.
Stop telling us about all these things.
She's okay. So, guys, any other questions or anything else you want us to chat about? I think we've kind of covered everything here.
Yeah, I think
pretty much. So I'm going to end it there. But any questions that you have or anything you want to know, you can follow Ali and Mike on Creation Space. Is it at Creation Space or at the?
Yes,
it's at Creation.
It's at Creation Space. On
Instagram, Facebook. There's a website if you want to look at the pens on their shop. They've got an online shop. If you do want to try the pens that I've got, I do have quite a few still. You can just message me or just find me on Calligraphy Joburg, and you can always come and try them. Otherwise, just get hold of them, and they are very, very good at interpreting what you need, and do you want fine, do you want medium, whatever it is, and coming up with the perfect pen for you. So although I personally prefer real shopping where I can touch and feel, in this case, I think they'd be able to make a pretty decent pen via a WhatsApp conversations. Okay, guys, so thanks so much for joining us, and and thanks Monique and Ali and Mike for co-hosting with me. Okay,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Okay.
Have a beautiful Sunday.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.